Hi everybody. The main race of the season is already upon us, the 111th Tour de France. Due to the Olympics, the Tour is run earlier than other years, from June 29th to July 21st, good for 21 stages covering nearly 3,500 kilometers and over 52,000 meters of elevation gain. We'll also get to see the first Grand Départ ever in Italy, and for the first time in history, the race will not finish in the French capital, an honor now going to the city of Nice. The 2024 Tour de France will start off with a 206k stage, which is labeled hilly by the organizers. It's good for 3,847 meters of elevation gain though, which is another first, given that the Tour de France has never started with a stage presenting the riders with more than 3,600 meters of climbing. It's a proper sawtooth stage, which never relents and which has break written all over it, although you never know what will happen with the yellow and a polka dot jersey up for grabs. My Stage 1 preview will drop late on Friday evening, yet in my book, a fresh Italian champion on an Italian Grand Départ and a stage that suits him will have this one marked in his agenda. Also, Stage 2 hits the 200k mark, this time good for 1,850 meters of elevation gain and featuring the climb to the sanctuary of San Luca twice in the finale. The San Luca climb runs over 1.9k at 10.6% average and is the traditional finale of the Giro dell'Emilia. Note that in that race it gets featured 5 times and ends atop the climb, while on this stage there's about 12k to go from the top of the second ascent. In recent years, the Giro dell'Emilia has been won by GC men, Mas, Vlasov and 3 times by Roglic. Also, Pogačar will not be afraid of sending it. It's going to be either that or the stage will go to a punchy guy. I'm calling Pitcock for this one. Stage 3 to Turin is a 230k stage featuring 1100 meters of elevation gain, offering a first opportunity for the sprinters. And obviously, Jasper Philipsen is the rider that comes to mind. The joy for the sprinters is short-lived though, because stage 4 goes into the high mountains. At 140k it's a short stage, yet it starts climbing straight out of the gate and it serves the riders with the Col du Galibier, which climbs to 2,642 meters of altitude. The stage profile favors the break in my book. Keep an eye out for climbers dropping time in the earlier stages, because this could be theirs. On stage 5, the word moves back to the sprinters. At 177k and just over 1,000 meters of climbing, there's nothing here that will bother the sprinters. Philipsen will take his second stage win. Also in stage 6, there's nothing in the way of a sprint, with only 1,000 meters of climbing over 163k. I'm calling this one for CAF's 35th Tour de France stage win. On stage 7, we get the first of 2 individual time trials, 25k and 300 meters of climbing on the first one. On the face of it, there shouldn't be any big gaps between the best riders, but who knows, Evenepoel takes this one. Stage 8 goes up and down all day, 183k, good for 2,400 meters of elevation gain. I frankly don't see any of the teams controlling this one, unless a rider like Philipsen has had tough luck till this date, with no win under his belt. In all other cases, this one is going to be won from the break. I'm expecting a classic style rider with a fast finish on a tough stage like this. Pedersen, Girmay, De Lee are names that come to mind. Yet even though it looks like Mathieu van der Poel will use the Tour once again to get into shape for a bigger goal, in this case the Olympics, I feel he'll go for a Tour de France stage this season, and this may well be the one. Stage 9 marks the end of week 1, featuring 14 sectors on wide roads, amounting to 32 kilometers on gravel in another 200k stage with roughly 2,000 meters of elevation gain. Remco Evenepoel has already checked out his route. The uphill sectors fall into the first and middle part of the stage though, which doesn't favor GC mayhem. So frankly, I'm expecting this to go to a fast guy with classics credentials, calling the lead for this one. Week 2 then starts with another sprint stage. At 187k with 950 meters of elevation gain, they don't come much flatter than this. According to the organizers, this stage has crosswind potential, so let's hope the winds are present. De Lee will take his second stage here. Stage 11, a tough stage, 211k with 4,350 meters of elevation gain, with the crux made up by the Col de Néron and Puy-Marie combo, presented with around 50k to go. Given that we're looking at a long stage with the crux sitting quite far out, I'm having this one down for the break, calling Derek G for this one. The organizers labeled this 204k stage as being flat, something I'd like to disagree with though. It looks to be up and down all day, good for 2300 meters of elevation gain. It will be break versus the sprinters, and I'm going to call it once more for the lead. Stage 13 to Po, 165k and 2000 meters of climbing. Once again, the road is slightly undulating all day, yet both the climbs and the actual stage are shorter, so this should be for the sprinters. Full-on Pedersen, Philipsen, the lead terrain. On stage 14, we climb above 2000 meters for the first time this Tour de France, cresting the Tourmalet, slightly over halfway this 152k stage, which is good for over 4000 meters of climbing. From the top of the Tourmalet, they descend straight into the Orquet d'Ancizan and onto the finish climb to Pladadet, good for 10.6k at 7.9%. In my book, the main contenders will come out to play here for the first time, even though the final 3k are fairly mellow, calling this one for Pogačar in a sprint with Jonas. Stage 15, ahead of the second rest day, the riders start climbing straight out of the gate, cresting the Pere Sourde, 20k of valley into the Col de Monté and Col de Portas Peduo, followed by another long valley section into the Col d'Agnès, with another valley section before the finish climb to the Plateau de Bay at the end of a 200k stage with 4800 meters of climbing. The finish climb runs over 16k at 8% average. Names to have won atop this climb include Pantani, Armstrong and Joaquim Rodriguez. There's a chance this one goes to the break, yet I'm going to call it for the GC guys once more. This time around, I'm calling Vingegaard. Stage 16 should be another day for the sprinters, 188k and 1200 meters of climbing. According to the route builders, the wind may influence this stage, and let's be honest, which cycling fan doesn't like a nice echelon spectacle? Except for those fighting for the green jersey, a lot of sprinters may have left by now, given that there's no Champs-Élysées sprint to hang on for. So there's high chances that also this one will go to Philipsen, who already indicated to have made the green jersey his goal. Stage 17 basically climbs all day and looks like a breakaway day, even though the opening 130 kilometers only climb gently and do make it possible to control the break. The main obstacle of the day is the Col du Noyer, presenting the riders with 7.5k at 8.4% average. In total, the stage is 178k long, good for 2850 meters of climbing. Calling this one for Romain Grégoire from the break. On stage 18, the Col du Festre presents a perfect spot for the break to form, and given that the stage continues going up and down, good for over 3000 meters of climbing, over 180k, this one should be for the breakaway. To me, this looks very much like a Healy or Magnus Kort stage. And then it's time to move into the decisive weekend of the 2024 Tour de France, comprising of two mountain stages with mountaintop finishes and an individual time trial where everything can still be lost or won. Starting with stage 19, which goes to high altitude on 3 climbs, including the Col de la Bonnette, a beautiful climb which goes up to 2800 meters and with a nasty pinch in the tail. I'm going to call this one for Vingegaard. Stage 20 is brutal. It's only 133k long, yet raking up the climbs. Col de Bras, Col de Turini, Col de la Colmian and finishing atop the Col de la Couillole. 15.7k at 7.1% average, good for a total of 4600 meters of elevation gain. I can only imagine this one going to the GC guys as well. As will the final stage, a 34 kilometer individual time trial with some proper climbing. This is proper Roglic or Evenepoel terrain, and I'm calling it for Evenepoel once more. Note that we haven't had an ITT finishing the Tour since the decisive Le Mans-Fignon stage back in 1989. Overall, we're presented with a course that features the toughest stages in terms of climbing in the second half of the race, as you can clearly see from this chart presenting the cumulative elevation gain per stage. To summarize without knowing the actual race situation, we have 2 individual time trials, 5 pure sprints, 2 versatile sprints, 8 potential break stages, 4 mountain ones, a punchy one and 3 hilly classic style ones, and finally 4 proper GC days. Here's an overview of the winners of the final 10 editions, half of them going to Ineos with 3 different riders: Froome, Geraint Thomas and Bernal, 2 for Pogačar at UAE, 1 for Nibali and 2 for last year's winner Jonas Vingegaard. In terms of past performance at the Tour de France, 4 former winners are lining up: Pogačar, Vingegaard, Bernal and Geraint Thomas, and 4 former podium finishers: Carapaz, Roglic, Bardet and Adam Yates. Here's the betting odds at the time of recording, with Pogačar and Vingegaard obvious favourites. Note there's a substantial amount of kilometers against the clock, so clearly those with a good ITT have an edge over their competitors. Then here's the riders to watch in my book. I'll quickly go through all the teams, pointing out those I'll be eyeing for GC, as well as the fast man and those to watch for the break. Starting with what is undoubtedly one of the strongest GC lineups ever. UAE Team Emirates built fully around Tadej Pogačar, no Molano or other fast men this year around. Pogačar is on a mission, first in the Strade and Liège, winning Catalunya and the Giro d'Italia in dominant fashion, and he will now be supported by Adam Yates and Almeida, both of whom would be GC contenders in their own right on any other team. They have just demonstrated their form by taking a 1-2 in the Tour de Suisse, which Yates took by 22 seconds over Almeida. Yet more importantly, over 3 minutes on Skelmose, Bernal and any other contender. Ayuso, second in Tirreno and first in the Basque Country, is a question mark in my book, given that he got pretty banged up in that massive Dauphiné pileup earlier this month. Nevertheless, given the depth of this team, they're sitting solidly in pole position for the team classification. Also Ineos is lining up with a trident here: Bernal, Carlos Rodriguez and Geraint Thomas, while also Pidcock has been indicating to want to test himself as a GC rider. With the mountain bike Olympics on the horizon, I don't expect him to go for GC this year around. As for Thomas, he's fresh off a Giro podium and he's a renowned tough cookie who can get very far by just hanging on to his own tempo. Somehow, I do expect this tour to be about Bernal and Rodriguez though. Bernal was third in Catalunya, a full 5 minutes behind Pogačar, 10th in Romandy and 4th in the Tour de Suisse. He looks fairly solid, yet isn't back where he needs to be. Carlos Rodriguez is Ineos' best shot in my opinion. He started the season easy and then took second in a beheaded Basque Country, first in Romandy and 4th in the Dauphiné, behind Roglic, Jorgenson and G, which you could consider worrying. The Soudal Quickstep lineup is not yet confirmed, yet it is no secret that they'll be riding for Evenepoel. Evenepoel's preparation for the Tour was also disrupted by the injuries incurred in the Basque Country crash. At the Dauphiné, he demonstrated in the individual time trial, yet still needed to improve quite a bit to hang on for GC. In the Dauphiné, he ended in P7, 2 minutes and 25 seconds down on Roglic. At Visma Lease bike, it was announced last weekend that Vingegaard and Van Aert will race this year's Tour, despite their preparation not having been ideal following a bad crash in the Basque Country and Dwars door Vlaanderen respectively. Vingegaard will be supported by world-class rouleurs Van Aert, Laporte and Tratnik, with Benoot taking on the transitions to the climbs, followed by Kelderman, Jorgenson and Kuss. You can safely say that Jorgenson has a breakthrough season, winning Paris-Nice and second in the Dauphiné, only 8 seconds behind winner Primož Roglic. So should Vingegaard suffer, he's the man to watch in my book. As per Kuss, he's a mystery to me for this race, yet he has proven to be a tough 3-week racer who can ride top 15 by being on domestic duty. At Bahrain Victorious, we're seeing Buitrago line up for his first ever Tour. I consider his GC chances very slim though, and I sincerely hope he'll be eyeing stages, along with Bilbao, Mohoric and Puls. If they do so, this is the stage hunter team to watch. Also watch out for Bauhaus in the sprints. At EF, watch out for stage hunter Ben Healy, Marijn van den Berg in the sprints, and rest assured that Bettiol will be wanting to show his fresh national championship jersey in the opening stage. On GC, they'll all be behind Carapaz, who also had far from an ideal run-up to the Tour. At Bora, it's all about Roglic, fresh of winning the Dauphiné, where we witnessed Vlasov in an actual super domestic role. Seemingly, the respect for Roglic is sufficient for Vlasov to ride his lungs out for another rider, something I haven't witnessed too much. In the fast stages, look out for Danny van Poppel. At Movistar, watch out for Mas on GC, Lascano on the stage hunt, and Gaviria in the sprints. Mas has been riding solidly this year, 12th in Tirreno Adriatico, 15 Catalunya, 16 Romandy and 17 Swiss. Groupama will be riding for Gaudu, yet he never really managed to confirm. I like their chances for a stage win with Gregoire, Martinez or Madouas better. At Astana, it's all about securing Kev's 35th Tour de France stage victory. And at Jaiko Alula, they'll aim for a solid GC result with Simon Yates and the sprint stages with Groenewegen and Michael Matthews on the tougher stages needing fast legs towards the finish. With Kiccione and Pedersen respectively, Little Trek is a solid candidate for the mountain jersey and the sprinter's jersey. At DSM, I would love to see Bardet go for stage wins, yet usually he ends up in some kind of GC top 10 fight. In the fast stages, watch out for Fabio Jacobsen. The Arkea lineup has not yet been announced, yet expect to see Fastman Demar. Also Lotto Destiny will be aiming for the sprints and the breakaways. Watch out for Van Gils in the hilly and climby breakaway stages. And check out Arnaud Delis, who just became Belgian champion, outsprinting Merlier, Philipsen, Meus, Nys and Van Aert. At Cofidis, look out for Kokar in the versatile sprint stages, Geschke for the KOM jersey, and Jon Izagirre and Jesus Herrada for the breakaway stages. Bourgodeau looks to be Total Energies' best shot at a stage win. At Alpecin de Koning, Jasper Philipsen will be looking to get another green jersey, and Van der Poel will be training for the Olympics. That being said, I do expect him to aim for a stage as well. At AG2R, look for Bennett in the sprints and Gall, Lapera and Godon in the breakaways. Then, at Israel Premier Tech, they decided to let Froome at home after all, and they're lining up with Akkerman for the sprints. On top, I like Stephen Williams and Derek G for a stage win. It will be interesting to see how G positions following his P3 on the Dauphiné GC earlier this month. At Uno X, look for Christophe in the sprints and Kort and Johannes in the breakaways. And finally, we have Intermarché, whom haven't announced their lineup yet, but expect it to be comprised of some fast men such as Gerbert Thijssen and some breakaway riders a la Georg Zimmermann. Here's an overview of our main favorite stage race result of the season, from which we can clearly see that all are in a winning mood. Yet before I dish out my GC stars, let's have a quick look at the fast men. Here are the 10 to watch in my book. Philipsen at Alpecin de Koning, Delis at Lotto Destiny, the freshly crowned Belgian road race champion, Matthews and Groenewegen at Jaiko, the last one fresh from a win at the Dutch National Road Race Championships, Pedersen at Trek, Gaviria at Movistar, Bauhaus at Bahrain Victorious, Bennett at AG2R, Christophe at Uno X, and Van Poppel at Bora Hansgrohe. Notable mentions are going to Van Aert at Visma Lease Bike, Jacobsen at DSM, Akkerman at Israel Premier Tech, Demar at Arkea, and whichever fast man is lined up by Intermarché, whether it's Germay, Thijssen or both. Here's a quick overview of how these riders have been doing over the last 2 months, where they frankly haven't been racing each other too much. We can see though that Bauhaus, Gaviria and Christophe are fairly consistent. Then, here's my top 10 picks for the stage hunts. Derek G and Stephen Williams at Israel Premier Tech, Mohoric and Bilbao at Bahrain Victorious, Aramburu at Movistar. I also expect Pidcock to be looking for a repeat of last year's stage victory, Van der Poel at Alpecin, Lascano at Movistar, Felix Gall at AG2R, Izagirre at Cofidis, Magnus Kort for Uno X and Ben Healy for EF. It's always a bit of a gamble, as per whom goes for the polka dots. Yet I would not be surprised to see 2 of last year's contenders aiming for the jersey once more, namely Felix Gall and Ciccone, who will be looking to defend his jersey. Depending on how the mountaintop stages develop, Pogačar will almost certainly be in the mix, and should Remco's GC bid go to waste, I could imagine him shifting attention to the polka dot jersey. In terms of stars, Pogačar is my only 4-star favorite, Roglic and Vingegaard get 3 stars, Adam Yates and Evenepoel get 2 stars, and Almeida, Carlos Rodriguez, Jorgensen, Vlasov and Thomas each get 1 star. In terms of podium prediction for the 2024 Tour de France, I'm calling Pogačar for the Giro Tour double ahead of Roglic and Vingegaard. Enjoy the race and look out for my Stage 1 preview on Friday night.